Imagine the most ordinary day possible. A parent driving home from work, children returning from school, traffic moving through familiar streets, nothing historic, nothing dramatic, just another afternoon inside modern civilization. And then an accident happens. Normally, the consequences would be predictable: insurance claims, repair costs, traffic delays, tow trucks, an inconvenience, nothing more. But imagine one detail changes. Imagine one of those vehicles contains a nuclear reactor. Suddenly, the accident is no longer local. Emergency responders become radiological specialists. Police become federal agencies. A traffic collision becomes a national security event. And a simple question emerges: why did humanity never build nuclear-powered cars? Because there was a time when some of the world's smartest engineers believed they would become inevitable. Not science fiction, not fantasy, a real technological possibility. For a brief moment, humanity believed the atom would power everything, including the family car. Today, the word nuclear often triggers concern, but during the 1950s, it inspired wonder. The atom appeared capable of solving every major problem civilization faced: energy, industry, transportation, economic growth. Humanity had unlocked a force previously hidden inside matter itself, and many believed there were no limits to where it could be applied. The reasoning seems straightforward. If nuclear reactors can power cities, why not ships? If they can power ships, why not trains? If they can power trains, why not airplanes? And if they can power airplanes, why not cars? To many engineers, the question was not whether atomic automobiles would exist, it was when. In 1958, Ford unveiled one of the most extraordinary concept cars ever created, the Nucleon, a vehicle designed around the assumption that future reactors would become small enough to fit inside automobiles. No gasoline, no traditional engine, just atomic energy. The promise was revolutionary. Thousands of miles between refueling, virtually unlimited range, a future liberated from fuel stations. The Nucleon was never intended for production. It was something more important, a symbol, a declaration that the future belonged to technology, that every problem had an engineering solution, and that tomorrow would be bigger, faster, and more powerful than today. But then reality arrived. The first problem was invisible: radiation. A reactor produces extraordinary amounts of energy, but it also produces something dangerous, and protecting human beings from that danger requires shielding, a lot of shielding. The reactor itself was not the biggest challenge. Protection was. The more safety engineers added, the heavier the vehicle became. The heavier the vehicle became, the more impractical it became. Physics was delivering a brutal verdict. The dream worked beautifully on paper. Reality demanded compromises. Then came another question: who repairs the vehicle? Power plants require specialists. Submarines require elite crews. Cars are owned by ordinary people. The infrastructure needed to support millions of nuclear vehicles would be unlike anything civilization had ever built. And then came the question that destroyed the dream. Cars crash every day, millions of times. The automobile succeeds because society accepts a certain level of risk. Nuclear systems operate under a different philosophy: extremely low probability, extremely high consequence. Those two worlds were fundamentally incompatible. The greatest obstacle was never engineering, it was trust. Because technology does not become mainstream when it merely functions. It becomes mainstream when society accepts it. And those are very different things. A reactor inside a submarine feels acceptable. A reactor inside a power plant feels manageable. A reactor parked outside a kindergarten feels entirely different. The technology had not changed. Human perception had, and perception often determines reality. Every civilization contains hidden gatekeepers, insurance companies, regulators, safety agencies, risk analysts, and these institutions ask a very simple question: what happens when everything goes wrong? Most car accidents are manageable, but nuclear accidents belong to a completely different category. Even if the probability remained tiny, the consequences could become politically unacceptable, economically unacceptable, socially unacceptable, and once trust disappears, adoption becomes impossible. Long before major nuclear disasters entered public memory, the possibility itself had already become a problem. Civilizations do not only react to risk, they react to imagined risk. The image of a reactor inside a family vehicle became increasingly difficult to justify, not because engineers lacked solutions, but because public confidence became fragile. And once confidence becomes fragile, entire technological futures begin collapsing. History rarely follows the future people predict. Instead, multiple futures compete simultaneously. The atomic age imagined one destination. Reality chose another, not because nuclear technology failed, but because alternative solutions emerged. And those alternatives carried fewer psychological burdens. Batteries were less exciting, less futuristic, less dramatic. No glowing reactors, no atomic miracles. But batteries possessed something far more valuable: simplicity. People understood them. Governments could regulate them. Insurance companies could insure them. Manufacturers could scale them. And over time, good enough defeated spectacular. Again, one of history's most misunderstood lessons is this: the best technology does not always win. The most powerful technology does not always win. The most elegant technology does not always win. The technology that integrates most easily into society often wins instead. Innovation is not merely an engineering challenge, it is a civilization challenge, and civilizations optimize for stability as much as capability. The world is full of futures that never happened, not because they were impossible, but because they lost the competition for acceptance. Human history is not simply a story of invention, it is a story of selection. Every generation imagines countless futures. Only a few survive, and the survivors are not always the ones people expect. Every new technology faces a hidden examination. Can it be trusted? Can it be insured? Can it be regulated? Can ordinary people live alongside it comfortably? Can society absorb it without becoming unstable? Only after passing these tests does innovation become reality. And nuclear-powered cars failed not because engineers lacked imagination, but because civilization itself rejected the proposition. Humanity still transformed transportation. The future still arrived. Cars became electric. Software became central. Energy systems evolved. But the pathway was different from what atomic age visionaries imagined. History fulfilled the destination, not the route. The atomic car remains one of history's most fascinating dead ends, a reminder that technological possibility is only one force shaping civilization. The future is not determined by what we can build. It is determined by what we are willing to live with. And sometimes, those are very different things. Not every future fails because it is impossible. Some futures fail because humanity chooses not to live inside them. The atomic car was one of them. Subscribe to Learning BizCraft for more strategic teardowns.